In this video, we are going to learn how to write multiplication and division equations. Let's begin. So, in example 1, Nadia runs a few miles each day to train for a marathon. Her brother Mick runs 1/2 that distance because he is training for a half marathon. So, in this multiplication division example, we can use a table to help us write an equation. Now, how do I know it's a multiplication division example? Well, there's nothing obvious in the word problem that'll say like, oh yeah, you're gonna multiply and divide in this equation, or But after developing some skills and after reading enough word problems, you should be able to figure out which word problems require either addition or subtraction, and which ones either require multiplication and division. So he runs 1/2 of that. That doesn't mean, you may think that you may be subtracting something, but it's, 1/2 of something. So you're not exactly subtracting 1/2 from, let's say Nadia runs 10 miles. If he runs half of that, would you subtract 1/2? That'd be make it 9.5. So that wouldn't make any sense. So, it requires some kind of multiplication or division. So let's go ahead and dive in. So we can use a table to help us figure it out. So what we're going to do is I've already set up a table for you right here. And knowing what we know, which is that Mick runs half of the distance, we could kind of figure out some information. So if Mick runs 2 miles, and that means Nadia would run how much? Well, he runs half of her distance, so half of 4 would be 2, right? So if Mick runs 2, that means his sister runs 4 because he runs half the distance. So if Mick runs 3 miles, then Nadia would run 6, right? Because she runs twice his distance. But if Nadia runs 10, how much would Mick run? Well, he runs half, so 5. And if Nadia runs 12, Mick would run 6 because he runs half her distance. So in an equation, we want the expressions on both sides of the equal sign to be equal. Therefore, we want Nadia and Mick's distance to be equal as well. We can do this in 2 different ways. We can change Nadia's distance to be equal to Mick's by doing what? Excuse me. Or we can also make Mick's distance equal to Nadia's. So how can we use this table to figure out what to do? Well, the question is, how do you get from 2 to 3, or 3 to 6, or 5 to 10, or 6 to 12? Well, what's the relationship? What's the pattern you see? Well, you can multiply by 2, because 2 times 2 equals 4, right? Multiply by 2 again. Multiply by 2. Multiply by 2. Now, something you should note is that I need to be doing the same thing on all of these. Like when I'm looking for a pattern in a table, it needs to be the same pattern. So for example, what you can't say, what you don't want to do is, oh, I add 2 over here, and over here I add 3, and over here I add 4, and over here I add 5, or add 6. It needs to be the same pattern. So you're either adding the same number every time, or you're multiplying by the same number, or dividing or subtracting. Whereas in this case, look, if I multiply this number, 2, 3, 5, 6, by 2, if I double it, I'm going to get Nadia's distance. I can also look for a pattern backwards. So how do I get Nadia's distance to be equal to Mick's? So let's see. How do I get from 4 to 2, or 6 to 3, or 10 to 5, or 12 to 6? Well, you just divide by 2. So I'm going to write divide by 2, even though really it should be like that. Just kind of note that I'm putting it over the arrow, and so it's 4 divided by 2. Or if I get 6 and I divide that by 2, I get 3. If I get 10 divided by 2, get 5. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So we can change Nadia's distance to be equal to Mick's if I take Nadia's distance, n, and I divide by 2. Now, the preferred way of writing, and that's going to equal Mick's distance. The preferred way of writing this is actually Nadia divided by 2. Now, something else you may want to note is like you can actually do like 1/2 Nadia's equals Mick's. Multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2, but not super important for you to know. for right now, but you can keep that knowledge in your back pocket. So Nadia divided by 2, Nadia's distance divided by 2 is going to equal to Mick's, or we can take Mick's distance and make it equal to Nadia's. What are we doing to Mick's distance every time? You know, I am taking Mick's distance, and whatever it is, whether it's 2, 3, 5, or 6, I am multiplying it by 2. So I take Mick's distance and I multiply it by 2. Preferred way of writing that is not m times 2 like that, because that looks too much like mx2. The preferred way of writing that is actually 2m. So if I multiply Mick's distance by 2, I get Nadia's distance. So on to a more specific question. They're going to give us more information. If Nadia ran 14 miles, the algebraic equation would be what? Well, we know that Nadia's distance is 14, so we're going to replace that. So we would say, oh, well, that's just 14 divided by 2 equals m. Or we would do 2m equals 14. And both of those are correct. And you probably have already figured out in your head, well, Mick ran 7. And if you do this, 14 divided by 2, that equals 7, right? Or if you do 2 times something equals 14, well, 2 times what equals 14? It's 7. So tables can be a useful tool if you need help setting up a word problem or an equation. They are not necessary. So we have a table set up in all of these examples for you, or most of them. And you don't have to use them, but I do find them useful, and I'm going to teach you how to use a table. So let's go ahead and look at example 2. Laura slowly walked at a pace of 4 miles per hour, and by the end of her walk, she had gone 23 miles. How many hours did she walk? You may be thinking, oh, I already know how to do this. But if you're not sure, let's use a table. So what do we know? She walks at a pace of 4 miles per hour. By the end of the walk, she's gone 23 miles. How many hours did she walk? So let's just go like 4 miles in 1 hour, right? So this is miles, and this is hours. I'm just going to do HRS. So 4 miles in 1 hour. How many miles? Let's say we did 2 hours. That would be like, what, 8 miles, right? If I did 3 hours, that would be 12. So I'm going to save this bottom slot to help figure out well, what we need to figure out, which is she had gone 23 miles. So 23 miles, where would that go? She'd walked 23 miles. Does that go under miles, or does it go after hours? Well, it goes under miles because that's what she walked, 23 miles. How many hours did she walk? Well, we don't know. Question mark. Well, I'm not going to write a question mark. I'm going to write a variable instead, h, which represents hours. So now I'm going to ask myself, how do I get from 4 to 1, or 8 to 2, or 12 to 3, or 23 to h? Or I could go backwards. How do I get from 1 to 4, 2 to 8, 3 to 12? Let's go this way first. 4 to 1 and 8 to 2. What is, am I going to say, oh, you subtract 3 each time, right? Does 8 minus 3 equal 2? No, it doesn't. So subtracting 3 does not work. How about dividing by 4? 4 divided by 4 equals 1, right? Let's see, does that apply with 8 divided by 4? Yeah, 8 divided by 4 is 2. What about 12 divided by 4? Does that equal 3? It does. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So what should I do to 23? Well, I should divide that by 4, and that's going to get me h. So that's one of my equations. It's 23 divided by 4 equals h. Or, you know, you could do 23 divided by 4 equals h. That's kind of the better way of writing it, but it's okay. Or you can write, or you can write, figure out the other direction, which is like, how do I get from 1 to 4, or 2 to 8, or 3 to 12? Well, you times 4. Times 4. Times 4. What do you do? How do I get from h to 23? Well, do the same thing. You multiply by 4. So I can say, 4 times h, which I don't like how that looks. It looks like 4xh. 4h equals 23. And that is how that's my equation. I can do either one. What's the variable represent? Well, h is the hours walked. Now, if they want you to solve it, how do you do it? Well, your answer would be like 4 and actually not 4, but she had walked a total of actually 5.75 hours. Or you can also say 5 3/4 hours. Both of them are the same thing. That's something you don't have to do yet. But if you have this equation or this equation, they're both correct. Let's try number 3. Mike and his brother Roy run a small sales business. They agreed that Mike would get to keep 3 times more of the monthly sales profit because he spends more time running the business. 1 month, Mike got to keep $2,400. How much of the sales profit did Roy receive? So they both run the business. Mike gets to keep 3 times more. Let's see. Mike got to keep $2,400. How much did Roy receive? Well, let's see. In this case, we've got Mike and we've got Roy. And we know that Mike gets to keep 3 times more than Roy. So let's just kind of put him some information. Mike gets to keep 3 times more, right? So if Roy makes $1, Mike would make $3, right? If Roy makes like $2, then Mike would make 6. If Roy makes $3, then Mike would make 9 because that's 3 times more. Let's use this last slot to put in the information we know. Mike got to keep $2,400. So where do we put $2,400? Under Mike or Roy? Well, under Mike, because we know that he's the one who got to keep $2,400. So how much did Roy make? That's the question we're asking. How much did Roy receive? We don't know, so we're going to use the variable R. Now, we look for patterns. How do I get from 3 to 1, or 6 to 2, or 9 to 3? Well, divide by 2? No, not divide by 2. Divide by 3. Divide by 3, because 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And 2,400 divided by 3 is going to get you R. So if I do it that way, I can just say, use this one right here. 2,400 divided by 3 is going to equal R. Or I can do it the other way, which is, how do I get from Roy to Mike? Just times 3. Times 3. Times 3. How do I get from R to 2,400? Multiply by 3. So this equation would be R times 3, or 3R, equals 2,400. Now, what is this answer? Well, give me a second to... So, 2,400. If you actually solved it, you should get $800 would be your answer. Not super important, like I said, but good to know. But that's how you would figure this out. Now, you may have noticed something on our tables, all of them, which is you can go one way and you'd be dividing by a number, and if you go in the opposite way, you'd be multiplying by that number. So over here, divide by 4, multiply by 4. Over here, divide by 3, multiply by 3. You'll notice that the division and multiplication are very related. They're considered inverse operations. They're opposites of each other. So I could write an equation one way by using division and write it the other way using multiplication. But that's just kind of a nifty fact for you to know. Number 4. I imagine a lot of you will not need to use the table for 4. But let's read it. Eric went to the school carnival. The carnival required him to buy tickets for food and drinks. The cost of a ticket is $3 for each ticket. How many tickets was he able to purchase with $84? And many of you are thinking, I know how to do this. You just do this operation. And that's great. But I'm going to use the table just for people who are just like not really sure. We just know it's $3 for one ticket, right? So it's one ticket is $3. So this is going to be my tickets. And this is going to be the money. One ticket, $3. $3 each ticket, right? 2 tickets, $6. 3 tickets, $9. Let's put in the information down here. How much was he able to purchase for $84? Well, we got $84. How many tickets was he able to purchase? I have no idea, so let's use T. All right, let's look for patterns now. How do I get from 1 to 3? Oops. 1 to 3, 2 to 6, 3 to 9. Oh, you know. Multiply by 3. Times 3. Times 3 every time. How do I get from t to 84? Just multiply t by 3, and that'll get me 84. So one equation is t times 3. Oops, that's right. I don't like doing it that way. I like writing it like this. 3t. That's going to get you 84. Now the other way of writing this is, let's look at it the other way. How do I get from 3 to 1? Divide by 3. Remember, it's the opposite of the other thing. Instead of multiplying by 3, you are dividing by 3. So how do I get from 84 to t? You divide by 3. So over here, 84 divided by 3 is going to get you t. So how many tickets was he able to buy if you're not sure? The answer is 28. But again, not super important for right now. Number 5, Alexei bought a roll of leather cord to make bracelets. He cuts the cord into 9-inch strips to make a single bracelet. He was able to make 6 bracelets with no leather left over. How long was the original roll? All right, again, you may not need the table. And if you don't, jump straight to the equation. But if you do, here's how we use it. So he cuts 9-inch strips to make a single bracelet. He was able to make 6 bracelets with none left over. He brought a leather cord. We don't know how long the original roll was, but we do know that how long is each bracelet? How much cord or how much leather does it require? It requires 9 inches, right? So one bracelet is 9 inches. So this is the number of bracelets. And this is inches of cord. Inches of cord, of leather cord. 2 would be 18, right? 3 would be 27 because each of them requires 9 inches. Now, he was able to make 6 bracelets. So 6 goes under the bracelets right here. It doesn't go under the inches of leather cord. How much would it be? Well, again, I don't know. Inches of cord, let's use the letter C. So let's look for patterns. How do I get from 1 to 9 or 2 to 18, 3 to 27, 6 to C? Times 9 by every time. Multiply by 9 every time. So that's my equation. It's the one on the bottom. 6 times 9 equals C. 6 times 9 is going to get you how much cord he used. Or, if you want to write the equation the other way, how do I get from 9 to 1, or 18 to 2, or 27 to 3, or C to 6? Divide by 9 every time, right? Divide by 9, divide by 9, divide by 9. So, C divided by 9 is going to get you, oops, let me use the other color. So, C divided by 9 is going to get you 6. So, how long was the original cord? It was 54 inches. Yep. Again, not important for right now. Let's go to number 6. 4 friends went out to a restaurant. The total bill was $108, and they decided to split the costs evenly. How much money will each person need to pay? Write an algebraic equation to show how much each person will have to pay. This is one where it just seems so obvious to me that, I don't even think the table is particularly useful. We've got 4 friends, and the total bill was $108. They decided to split the cost evenly. What is the operation you use when you are splitting something evenly? It's division, of course. You're taking 108 and you're splitting it by 4 friends evenly. So divide by 4, and that's going to get you the bill that each person pays. So, 108 divided by 4 is going to get you B. Okay? I feel like that should be super obvious. It doesn't really require a table. A table shouldn't help, but you could say that, well, I just feel like that's so obvious. How much does each person pay? Well, let's see. 108 divided by 4 is 27. Each person paid $27. Number 7. Water. Excuse me. Leaks from a tank at a rate of 5 gallons per minute. How many gallons of water is leaked after 34.2 minutes? Oh my goodness. I'm going to use a table here. So, My table, water leaks at a rate of 5 gallons per minute. So 5 gallons, 1 minute, right? So this is gallons of water leaked, and this is the number of minutes. So after 2 minutes, you should get 10, and after 3 minutes, you should get 15. Well, let's not do 4 minutes. Let's just put in the information we know. After 34.2 minutes, where does 34.2 go under? It goes under the minute side. How many gallons are leaked? That's the question mark, which we're not going to use a question mark. We are going to use a variable. All right. Let's look for patterns now. How do I get from 5 to 1? Or 10 to 2, or 15 to 3, or G to 34. Divide by 5, right? Divide by 5. Divide by 5. What do I do to G? Divide by 5. So that's one equation. It's G divided by 5 equals 34.2. So you see that? G divided by 5 equals 34.2. Or if I wanted to do it the other way, how do I get from 1 to 5? Well, times 5. Do the opposite of dividing by 5. Times 5 times 5. 3 times 5 equals 15. 34.2 times 5 is going to get you G. So I'm going to write the word or. You can write 34.2 times 5 is going to get you G. So how much water did actually leak? 171 gallons. Oops. 171 gallons of water leaked, I believe. All right, let's go to the last one. Last one is kind of a strange one. We'll talk about this afterward. But Raina makes and sells earrings. She was able to make 18 pairs of earrings after working for 360 minutes. How many minutes does it take for her to make a pair of earrings? Let's see if we try to set up a table. Now, you may know how to do this, like without a table, but, and if you can, that would be awesome. If you can't, let's see how a table can help us. So she made 18 pairs of earrings working 360 minutes, so 18 earrings after 360 minutes, right? It's the number of earrings. And this is the number of minutes. Now, how much does it take for her to make a pair? So that's one pair of earrings. How many minutes? Oh, I'm not going to put a question mark. I'm going to put M. I don't know how to get from here to here. So if it's not obvious to you which operation you are supposed to use, or like what you're supposed to, like 18 to 360, you're obviously multiplying by something, but what? Or 360 divided by what equals 18? This is what you can do. Well, after, you could say, well, let's see. Let's say I double the number of earrings, which is like 36 earrings. How much would that take? Well, that would be double of 360, right? That would be like 720 minutes to make twice the amount. So it's obviously a multiplication. Like, you're obviously going to be doing some kind of multiplying. So 18 times something is going to get you 360, or 360 divided by something is going to get you 18. 1 times something, M divided by something. What is that number going to be? Well, let's see. If you multiply 18 times some number, that's going to get you 360, or 360 divided by something, some number, is going to get you 18. And that's actually going to be our equation. You basically do 360 or sorry, 18. Oops, sorry. Let's do the first way. You do 18 times some number, which I don't know, I guess in minutes, is going to get you 360. Or you're going to do 360 divided by some number, or number of minutes, and that's also going to get you 18. Now, what is the actual answer? How much does it take? It actually takes 20 minutes. Again, don't worry about, you don't have to worry about figuring out how to look at this and solve the problem, or this one. This is just, the table could be helpful to setting things up. This is a problem that's, to me, when I look at this, is called I think of this as a ratio kind of problem, and I would do something called setting up a ratio, or a ratio or proportion, actually, a proportion. That's one way of doing that, which you'll learn about later. So this is just kind of one of those strange problems where if it wasn't obvious to you that you're supposed to do, whether you're supposed to multiply or divide, because some of you are thinking like, oh, isn't it just 360 divided by the number of minutes? And that's going to get you, or sorry, 360 minutes divided by the number of earrings is going to get you the minutes. It is. That is one way of doing it, or that is, if you know how to do it, that's awesome. That's a way to take care of it. But if it's not obvious to you, we did want to show you this kind of problem, just in case you try to draw a table and you think like, wait a minute, I don't really know how to do this. It is a confusing one. So we kind of wanted to end on a tough one. This one is better, better to look at it as a proportion kind of problem. But, so actually I'm going to put that other way, which is 360 divided by 18 equals m. Because many of you are going to figure out to do it that way. So yeah, kind of a strange problem to end on, but these tables can be super helpful to help you write equations or to help you solve problems. Again, if you're not sure how to solve like 3r equals 2400, 3 times what equals 2400, don't worry, you're going to learn how to do that later. But go ahead and try some problems on your own.